On the distant eastern horizon, the mysterious continent of Akavir looms. Not much is known of this landmass, but it is known colloquially as the Dragonland and is believed to be the origin of all the world's dragons. This largely unknown landmass has been called home by an array of unique and sometimes nightmarish races, the likes of which most Tamriel dwellers have never seen. Most of the information about these Akaviri inhabitants is debated and argued amongst Tamriel scholars with very little concrete evidence of what they are really like. Akavir and Tamriel have only ever come into contact a few times. The Tsacei forces invaded Tamriel during the Riemann dynasty in the First Era, year 2703, and so did the Kemal in Second Era 572. Both times the Akaviri forces were defeated. Uriel Septim V in the 288th year of the Third Era, at the height of his power, led the first Tamriel invasion of Akavir, but the Tsacei prevailed and killed the mighty Imperial Emperor. These three invasions are the only contact the two continents have ever had, and as you can imagine, they were so focused on destruction and victory that all record of the Akaviri was inevitably that they were foreign demons. To this day, we do not know for sure if this is accurate or the result of propaganda dehumanizing the enemies. But here is all we know about the various races who inhabit the Dragonlands of Akavir. Race number 1, the Kamal. The Kamal are described as a race of snow demons, and the word Kamal literally translates to snow hell. Not the best first impression if you were hoping this was a friendly race. The Kamal spend their time in two states. During the winter, they are frozen solid, enduring the frosts, and then, like malevolent popsicles, they thaw out in summer with one thing on their mind: attacking the innocent Tang Mo people, a race we will get into soon. The people of Tamriel met these snow demons on the battlefield during the Second Akaviri invasion in the Second Era, year 572. Under the leadership of their king, Adasum de Kamal, the snow demons caught Tamriel totally by surprise. They headed north over Tamriel, their fleet braving the cold before landing near Windhelm and sacking the city effortlessly. It is believed, according to the historian Nyema Raven Quill of the Bard's College, that the Kamal had launched this onslaught in search of something called the Ordained Receptacle. From here they made their way into Morrowind, where they were met on the field by a Nord army led by Prince Joran and a Dunmer army led by Almalexia. A phalanx of Argonians entered the battle too, toward the tail end, but what really turned the tide of battle was a tsunami-sized wave summoned by the mighty Vivek, sending the snow demons to the sea floor. Race number 2, the Tang Mo. Scarce little is known of this docile and caring race, and that's mostly because these kind monkey folk are not the type to go invading other continents, leaving a trail of death and destruction. They keep to themselves, and that leaves little for the historians to report. The name Tang Mo translates to the Thousand Monkey Isles, the home of the Tang Mo race. There is believed to be many breeds of Tang Mo, and while no further knowledge is provided of these breeds, they may vary in shape and size similar to the Khajiit natives of Tamriel. The Tang Mo are believed to be insane, but they are also considered unthreatening and simple, only resorting to violence when fending off attackers. The Tang Mo has the unique bragging right that every other Akaviri nation has attempted to enslave them and conquer the Monkey Isles, but every time they have failed. As far as we know, the Tang Mo have always held the Thousand Monkey Isles, yet the Kamal launch an attack every single summer. There's something about these isles that the other Akaviri races crave, so who knows what wonders these monkey people protect. Race number 3, the Po Tun. The Po Tun, known to most as the Catfolk, are a race of felines believed to resemble tigers. Little can be said of how closely they relate to the Khajiit, but the Po Tun also have a close connection with the dragons, so much so that their leader, Tosh Raka, is rumored to be a divine being who succeeded in becoming a dragon. As is the case with stories of the Akaviri inhabitants, scholars are skeptical and think the story may be metaphorical, but according to sources like the book Mysterious Akavir, the change was very much literal, and Tosh Raka became a dragon with scales coloured like the fur of a tiger. The Po Tun's greatest adversaries are the Tsacei, and in order to someday defeat them, they have aligned themselves with the gallant Tang Mo folk. The Po Tun are believed to be stronger than the Tsacei, although their fleets are inferior. When the Tsacei attempted to eat all of the dragons like they did to the humans of Akavir, the Po Tun responded by learning to turn into dragons. Thus far only Tosh Raka has succeeded, but with these new powers they plan to destroy the Tsacei before turning their attention to Tamriel. Race number 4, the Tsacei. The Tsacei serpent folk have been at the center of almost all of the conflict in Akavir. Tsacei translates to Snake Palace, and the race are described as vampiric humanoid serpents with the upper body of a human and a serpentine lower body. Maybe it has something to do with a snake's ability to consume large animals, storing and digesting them in their malleable stomachs, but the Tsacei are considered to be so terrifying because they don't just fight the other races, they devour them. It's said that the Tsacei ate the men of Akavir. Some say this was literal, while others argue that it was a metaphor for assimilating the men with their culture. As for their conflicts, the Tsacei launched the first Akaviri invasion of Tamriel in the First Era, 2703rd year. But they were eventually quelled by the forces of Emperor Riemann I. The survivors stayed on in Cyrodiil to serve as mercenaries and personal guards. Their influence had apparently led to the introduction of Legion equipment and groups, including the Daikatana, dragon scale armor, and the legendary order known as the Blades. On the home front in the modern day, the Tsacei are in an ongoing war with the Po Tun for supremacy over Akavir. Last but not least, we have race number 5, the Men of Akavir. After hearing about these other races, it's hard not to sympathize for any mortal men unfortunate enough to be born on this continent. As usual, little is known of this Akaviri race, but for the Men of Akavir, things may not be as they seem. It is believed almost everywhere that the Men of Akavir were killed off a long time ago, after being eaten by the Tsacei, and while this might be the case, there are hints in Tamriel's history that it was not that simple. The events of the first Akaviri invasion, for example, suggest that the Men of Akavir had some influence. The Imperial Order, known as the Blades, seem to hold some resemblance to what is known of the Men of Akavir's culture, and it is these men who proclaimed Riemann Cyrodiil to be Dragonborn. What happened to the Men of Akavir when they were conquered by the Tsacei serpent folk remains a mystery, but there are traces of these men in Tamriel, like the Akaviri commander Misharxi found in the Pale Pass during the Lifting the Veil quest in Oblivion. Subscribe to FudgeMuppet for all the very best Elder Scrolls content, and drop a like if you enjoyed learning about the ominous land of Akavir. Check out the description for links to our social media accounts. Thanks for watching, guys. I'm Scott, and I look forward to nerding out with you again soon.